With a sluggish economy, high unemployment and a possible worldwide recession, some economists are encouraging farmers and entrepreneurs to think differently about how to make money with small startup fees. Paul Makube from FNB joins me now. Thanks so much for your time on SABC News. You've spoken about rabbit farming as a way of possibly dealing with these challenges that we're facing.
Yes, definitely. Thanks for having me. Yes, rabbit farming, this is one of the alternatives that we have in the country. I mean, we're used to other production systems, your cattle, your beef, your sheep, your poultry and pork. This is another opportunity to have a look at, which can be profitable. At the moment, still in a small growing phase. We produce about 300 tons of meat per year, quite delicious meat. Even the quality is very good.
So you've said that the startup costs are quite small for that. Take us through how much you would need perhaps to start off with rabbit farming.
Oh, you'd get a startup of about 150,000, and that would cost you about 35,000 rand. That excludes the cages, of course. The cages you have to arrange with the supplier to actually do that setup. And then off you go. You have production every month after the dough has reached a stage of production from about 90 days, reaching a weight of about 3.5 kilograms. So from there on, almost every month you are going to have production of about kids of about 10 to 11.
Okay, but obviously you don't just take the rabbits, they need to be eating every day. What are they eating? How much are those costs over and above that 35,000 as well as the cages?
Well, in a cycle they will need about 9.2 kilograms just to finish them off. That is from the growth phases until it reaches about 2.2 kilograms marketable weight. So with that, you're going to get about 55 rand per animal. That is going to be that we are going to get it from the off-taker, and mostly the off-taker that we know about is Coniglio. And then 80% of the meat is for the export market, about 20% is for the local market. But the most important thing is that there is an opportunity for scale. There is an opportunity in the sense that you do not need quite massive land to actually do the production. It can be done in small pieces of land, and therefore an opportunity for the small scale guys, the younger people that are there that are facing difficult opportunities of getting jobs. So that is also an entry for them to actually venture into this kind of business.
So that was my question. It's a small-scale startup with room for growth and low cost from the beginning. But then South Africans aren't really eating rabbit meat unless it's like artisanal, at fairs, or it's a very specialized market. And then your market is in places like China and the rest of our African continent. So how do you balance that if you are a small farmer who perhaps just gets that around 50,000 rand that they need? How are you going to go from there to exporting?
The fortunate thing is that this is linked to an export market. That is, you already have an off-taker who's actually going to take care of that. But we have an opportunity to actually grow consumption locally. So I mean, from almost nothing, you can actually be able to grow that market internally. So that's where the opportunities lie, because restaurants will actually make sure that they get that supply. At the moment, the supply is still thin. Hence, you don't see it a lot in the restaurants. But once you scale up and increase your production, you are likely to see consumption taking off. And with marketing, you are likely to see a situation where you can see it taking off. But an export market, quite a lucrative market, and all we need is to ensure that we get that foreign exchange for our country.
Obviously, there will be a hygiene component that you need to look at very carefully if you're dealing with food that people are going to eat. Is that a cost that is hidden in there, or is that not going to be an additional cost in terms of rabbit farming?
No, it is not an additional cost. Remember, the off-taker takes care of down the value chain. The off-taker takes care of the slaughtering, what happens to the meat, and what happens to the skin. And mostly export market. 20% is local market, quite a niche market in terms of where you find it. Quite tasty, almost better than chicken. So that is an opportunity actually to explore this opportunity, but also conscientize South Africans that there are alternative meats out there that you can take advantage of.
Okay, there are also alternative ways of looking at agriculture. I know people are also starting to sell. There's a woman who sells a part of her beehives. You pay her, I think, 4,000 Rand, and then she gives you your money back in a year, whatever. Do people need to look at agriculture differently as a way of making money as opposed to perhaps more traditional routes? And how do they do that? Where would they start?
Yeah, I think that is a very important point. You have to look at the value chain. You have to look at where opportunities lie. And most of the opportunities lie in the niche markets. I mean, if you look at your bees, your rabbits, those are niches where there is high value there, and it's almost easier to get in, unlike situation where you have huge capital outlays in terms of establishing either poultry or pork units that require a different kind of management. So we have to look at it very differently, but also we have to look at where in the value chain you can play. There are many opportunities in the value chain. You do not necessarily have to be at the production phase, but look at the whole value chain in terms of from the production of a particular commodity and where in the value chain you can play in terms of either provide as an input supplier or in the processing or in the marketing of agricultural commodities. So value chain is important. There are areas where people can play in and not necessarily at the primary level.
Thanks so much for your time on SABC News. Paul Makube, Senior Agricultural Economist at FNB, joining us there.